Hello everyone and welcome to today's session organized by the IIIE CRCE. This session is based on entrepreneurship development phases. The motive of this session is to make students understand the phases in which the entrepreneurial process works. Today, we have with us Sir Devesh Chawla, who is the founder and CEO of Chatur Ideas. He has been awarded as the CEO of the Year 2019 by GISR Foundation and American College of Dubai, and has also been nominated for Business World 40 Under 40. Chatur Ideas has been awarded as Top 50 Small Businesses of India. It is a startup enabling platform with over 950 startups and 1500 plus investors where startups get funding, mentoring, and 360-degree execution support. We are very grateful to have you here, sir. So you can now start the session.
So good evening to everyone. So how do you guys want this session? Do you want me to keep speaking and you all want to listen, or should we make it interactive? I think everyone's microphones are muted. So what we will do is we'll try to make this an interactive one. What you guys may want to do is either you unmute yourselves and answer or ask questions, or you can put in the chat box. Does that sound good? Should we make it interactive, guys? Are you all okay with it?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Great, Sana. Done. So now today's topic is entrepreneurship development phases. So that includes multiple things, right? That includes right from the basic, why do you want to be an entrepreneur? So let me ask you my first question, that everyone who's attending the session today here, what is your reason to become an entrepreneur? Why do you want to be an entrepreneur? Why do you think you should be an entrepreneur? What is that excites you to be an entrepreneur? Some answers. What are primary reasons to be an entrepreneur? Why do you guys want to be? If you all want to be an entrepreneur, if you're already an entrepreneurs, why are you all entrepreneurs? What drives you? What is your end goal? Why not pick up a job? Why you want to start your own business? Why don't you have your own startup? Any reasons? You can put in the chat box if you don't want to unmute. Okay, Sanat says he wants to become independent. Neil says freedom of choice. Okay. Sakib says for me it is freedom to make decisions of my own. Okay. So basically what I'm seeing is you all want to either be independent or have the freedom, right? Pratik wants to create an impact. Okay. So now let's understand what happens if you pick up a nice job. Would you have freedom? Would you have independence? Can you create impact? The answer is yes, you can. So let's take an example of Indra Nooyi, right? So Indra Nooyi, who's the COO of PepsiCo, she's independent. She has the freedom of choice, and she can also create an impact, which she's been doing, right? Because she's not an entrepreneur, she's an intrapreneur. Intrapreneur is somebody who is working in a corporate job, thinks like an entrepreneur, but gets paid a salary every month. That's what an intrapreneur is. So one can also be into a job, think like an entrepreneur, and have all of these things. Let's take example of Facebook. So today Facebook has so many features. For instance, it has a feature where you can do live video, you can see whether you are safe, you can have multiple emotions, you can talk about multiple different things. If all of these things Facebook does, do you think Mark Zuckerberg does it on his own? No, right? He has a team, the team who thinks like entrepreneurs, the team who thinks like the team who's entrepreneurs and think like entrepreneurs. What they do is basically they get a fixed salary every month, but they think like it's their own baby, it's their own venture, and then they start working towards that, and then they create so many things. So the innovation comes from the team who are entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are someone who are entrepreneurs but on a fixed salary. Okay, so one can create an impact, can have freedom of choice, can be independent, being in a job as well. But still, people prefer to be entrepreneurs. Why? Because the growth, the happiness, the passion one gets is much, much, much immense in entrepreneurship vis-a-vis entrepreneurship. Let's take an example. Uh, we so the founder of WhatsApp, Brian Acton, he applied for a job in Facebook. He got rejected. uh, he came back, he tweeted saying that, I met people at Facebook, very nice set of people, but now I'm in for my next big adventure. And within 5 years, he created WhatsApp, which became so big that Facebook had no other choice but to acquire the company. And they acquired them at a staggering valuation of $19 billion. And at that point of time, WhatsApp's revenue was, I think, around 425 or $420 million. So there was a huge premium paid on the revenue. Now, what happened over here was, if Brian Acton would have picked up a job with Facebook, he would have been an entrepreneur. He would have made good salary, he would have got ESOPs, everything. But he decided to be an entrepreneur. He created something which is much larger than what in Facebook can think about. Today, his growth and the value that he has created is much, much higher than being an entrepreneur. That's what a difference is, why people still go for entrepreneurship despite having an option to be an entrepreneur. Now, having said that, why should you become an entrepreneur? Let's answer that question. If the reason to be an entrepreneur is to be independent, to have freedom of choice, to create an impact, to create an impact is okay. But the first two, maybe uh, you should rethink. Because the moment you start seeing that you're not having your freedom, you don't have your independence, you might just not like entrepreneurship. You might just feel that we just want to get into this, let's pick up a job, right? Now, take an example of, okay, according to you guys, how many startups succeed and how many startups fail in India and globally? So, Charmi, okay, I agree with you. Pratik, agree with you too. Okay, Sakib is right, 90% fail, right? So it's 95% actually fail, so 90 is also good. Sanat says 3 out of 10 succeed. Yes, it's actually 1 out of 10, but you're there. So the point here is about 1% succeed, Ashutosh, absolutely. So the point here is, why so less people succeed? Because the reason what drives them to be an entrepreneur is wrong. So if it is to have a glamorous life, if it's to draw more money, if it's to have freedom, if it's to be independent, to be your own boss, if all of these are the reasons, then a lot of people just quit entrepreneurship after 2 years of existence because they don't achieve that. Because in entrepreneurship, you're never your own boss. Your client is your boss. You never have freedom of time. You are working 24/7. Even on your weekends, even on your holiday trips, you are working hard. Uh, you can create an impact, of course. Glamour, for the first few years, you have to really dirty your hands, roll up your sleeves, and work hard. Getting a good salary, getting good money. For the first couple of years, you don't get good money in most startups. In some startups, you get money from day one, but in most startups, you don't. And you start making money maybe after a few months. So, the reason to be an entrepreneur should be that you're passionate about the problem you're solving and there's a solution at large. And that's why you should be an entrepreneur and not because of any other reason. Else, entrepreneurship is something that you can definitely opt for. Let's take an example about entrepreneurship. Let's take an example of people who are driven by passion, have found a solution which can help people at large, and have become successful. Can you guys think of any such examples? Correct, absolutely. Any else? Misho, absolutely. Any more? So let me take an example which is commonly known to everyone. The example of Uber. So the founder of Uber, Travis Kalanick, he was in San Francisco waiting for his cab to come in the scorching sun, and he was waiting for the cab, and the cab didn't turn up for 20 minutes. He then thought, why should I do this? Can I solve this problem? Because this is a problem that he was facing, he was passionate about. He was thinking, do people at large have a problem and do have a solution for it? And the answer was yes, because when he made his first pitch to his investors, his pitch was, how about if I give you a solution that you don't have to wait for the cab to come to you? How would that be? You'd get a notification on your mobile that this is the time the cab is coming to you. Would you like it? Investor said a yes. He said, what if I let you know how far is the cab and how much time will it take to come? Would you like it? They was like, why not? He asked his investors, what if I give you the time it takes to reach your destination and what is the fare it's going to charge you? The investors were overexcited. They said, boss, what's the app? Tell us more. He said, what if I even give you the details about the driver so that you don't have somebody who's going to mug you, and you will have a genuine driver with all his details, and you know who is he with his photo and everything. They jumped out of the seats. They're like, boss, this is something we want. And they said, wait, I have one more thing to add here. And what if the cost of all of this is cheaper than having your own car with a driver? All the investors were like, here's our check, tell us the plan. Now, that's what Uber was. He was passionate about a problem that he faced. He knew people at large are facing a problem. He knew the solution can bring money, and that's what Uber happened. And that's what even Cred happened. That's what Meesho happened. That's what Shadi.com happened. That's what Book My Show happened. That's how Red Bus happened. Now, all of these things, the entrepreneurs had a pressing problem that they're willing to solve. They know a solution at large. They work for it, and they created the best in their sectors. So we know Uber is one of the best apps in the taxi hailing sector. Book My Show is in the events bookings, Redbus in the bus bookings, and so on and so forth. That should be the reason why you should be an entrepreneur. You should have a problem you're passionate about. You need to work towards it with full dedication, figure out the solution at large, and then work for it. So that's about entrepreneurship. Now, sorry, how do you figure out if you have a maybe say a good idea? How do you know that the idea that you're working on is really a great idea to work on? So the first step is to figure out why you want to be an entrepreneur. So once that is clear, the next step is to figure out, are you solving the right problem? How do you validate your idea? How do you validate your problem? How do you validate the solution? How do you know that what you're working towards, do people really need something like this? How do you do that? Simple. The first step is you actually list down whatever problem you're solving and what is the solution you're offering on the table. You take that solution, you reach out to your customers. So let's assume you're coming with a product. So if you guys have any product that you guys want me to pick up as a case study, I can do that. Else I'm just taking an abstract case here. So if I get something on the chat box, I'll take that as a problem to solve. Else I'll just take an abstract problem. So let's assume you're taking a product. Sorry.
Sir, can I speak?
Yeah, Pratik, please go ahead.
Okay, sir. So my product is Abhivyakti. Its name is Abhivyakti. So we are working to bridge the personality gap between tier 1 college students and tier 2 college students.
Perfect.
Yeah. So what happens in tier 2 and tier 3 college students? They don't have exposure They don't get chance to explore various things which tier 1 college students gets. That's why their confidence level and everything is boosted up. So what we did in Abhivakti, we have a 3 months of program where we give them all kind of exposures, a little bit of exposures, and then they will explore it more in their further degree. So that's my model.
So what all do you teach in this?
Okay, so sir, in this we teach them research skills, technical research, then some personality traits like how to wear formals from tip to hairstyle, everything. And we organize events which they manage. By managing the events, they learn various skills. They learn leadership skills, and also if the team is is having potential, then we'll go for the sponsorship and we'll promote them only to get the sponsorship. So it's a whole experiential training. They learn by doing things.
Perfect. So let me take this as a case study. I'm putting my camera off just for the ease of because आपने शक्ल तो देख ली अभी मेरी, तो सबके कैमरास बंद है तो मैं भी बंद ही रख रहा हूँ. Now, it's a very good point, problem point, a pain point that you are solving, Pratik. So let us take this as a case in point and figure out how do we validate this idea. So you have multiple features in the product that you're offering, which includes uh, grooming in speaking skills. In so Jablin has some issues. So Jablin, do you want to unmute yourself and talk? So was Lee the person who was with that HIH name and somebody removed him and again he's writing in? So Jablin, if you want to talk something, please unmute. We can understand what's on your mind. What do you need? Jablin, are you there? You want to type, you can type. Let me answer your question before I answer Pratik's. You can either type, you can either unmute. Please feel free. Fine, Jablin. So if you want to speak, please speak, but don't spoil the decorum of the session. Okay? Thanks. So, Pratik, so now this is what you're offering. Now, what you should do is you should figure out who your target audience is, which you figured out is tier 2 and tier 3 city college students. Now, when you reach out to these college students, you would reach out to them directly or you reach out to them through the institute.
Sir, through the institute. Right now, we are at the POC stage, so
Okay.
we only run this in our college. But as per our strategy, we'll directly reach out to the institute.
Okay. Perfect. So let's reach out to 100 institutes. I think that should be your step number one to figure out how your idea can be validated and whether you're doing the right thing. Reach out to 100 institutes, reach out to the decision makers, tell them this is what you're offering with all the features of your course, and this is what the price that you're doing. Now you will get feedback from them. Feedback number one is that you will get a feedback saying that this is a good product. We are happy to go ahead. So that is something you're good about it. If they say these are some things that you need to work on, maybe you're offering too many things, it's too cluttered a course. So just remove a few things because these things are not important. Just focus on ABC and remove the XYZ. And okay, that is something I need to do. Third, they may say that you need to add a few more things for our students to feel that it's of value addition. So you do that. So three things can happen. Either they say it's good, either they say it's bad. If they say it's bad, then they say what to add or what to remove. So that's how you know how you need to work on it. You prepare that. You again reach out to these decision makers and then you ask them for the pricing. Now you
Okay.
know that there are a lot of people in the market who are doing similar things and they're charging an X amount for it. Now, some of them are professionals who have been doing this for multiple years and they've created a brand for themselves. So you may need not compete with them, but as long as your cost is taken care of, you should be comfortable to go ahead and uh, be with the pricing that the college offers you. So let's assume you get a 30% margin on your cost. I think that's a good pricing to go ahead with. So you do a crowd sourcing of the pricing from your colleges, and you know that. So now you know what features to build in, you know what pricing you should have it. Now these two things is something you're sure about. The college has now given you a heads up and a go ahead to say that, okay, Pratik, we love your product. You have done the changes as we asked you for. This is the pricing. We are there with you. Now your 50% battle is 1 year. The remaining 50% battle will be won if you do the next step. But the next step is one of the most tough steps to do. But if you do, your chances of success increases by 90-95%. And now what is the next step is you actually go and tell these colleges that, you know what, I'm going to launch this course. So, okay, how are you going to charge them? Is the college going to pay you or the students going to pay you?
Sir, students going to pay us.
Okay, students going to pay you. So then
Yeah.
maybe you cannot do the third step that I'm going to talk about, but you can do it, nothing like it. So the third step that I'm going to talk about was I was assuming the college is going to pay you for it. So what you may would have asked the college was that, can you guys pay me a 10% advance of the course so that I'm sure that we are on for it and I can start the preparation and roll it out in your institute. Now, there are multiple benefits of doing something like this. The number one benefit is that it's human psychology. The pain of losing 10% is higher than the joy of getting 90%. Now, let me take an example and explain this point. So, it may not be relevant in your case, but I'm using because the students you can't ask them for 10% advance because why would they pay? Because the college is approved, the students will join as and when their income capacity is there or their interest is there and so on and so forth. But if this was a college level, this is something we could have done. Now let me ask the audience listening here that let's assume we all have a Paytm balance of 500 rupees. Okay. No, let's assume the other way around. Let's assume we are walking on the street and we find a 500 rupee note. Okay. Now, what would you guys do with that 500 rupee note? Would you pocket it because 500 रुपए मिल गए हमको चलते चलते, या आपको लगेगा कि ये 500 रुपए मेरे हक के तो नहीं है क्योंकि रास्ते में गिरे किसी के और के होंगे, सो लेट मी गिव दिस 500 rupees टू सम बेगर और सम नीडी पर्सन, किसी का भला हो जाए बिकॉज ये मेरा तो है नहीं, रास्ते में गिरा पड़ा है. So what would you guys do? Will you pocket the money or give it to a needy person that comes across your way?
Give it to a needy person.
Okay, so I will give to a needy person. Asi I will give to a needy person.
Pocket it, sir.
Okay, Omkar will pocket it. Fine. Digant will give it to a needy person. Sanat will donate it. Perfect. Needy person. So what we see here is majority people will give it to a needy person. Now, let's assume there is another situation. Everyone uses Paytm here, right? Now let's assume आप सबके अकाउंट में 50 रुपए ही हैं Paytm बैलेंस, और वो Paytm बैलेंस अगर मैं आपको बोलूं कि कल से we cannot use that money, you have to purchase today only worth 50 rupees from Paytm, or else that money will lapse. What would you guys do? Would you let the money just lapse, which is become zero by tomorrow, or would you purchase anything, but purchase something from the 50 rupees that you have in your Paytm wallet? What would you do? Purchase something. Okay, Asiya, Kedar purchase, Vedant purchase, Ashutosh purchase, Mustafa purchase. Great. So now Sanat says purchase if needed. Perfect. So now Pratik transfer to the bank. Smart. Okay. So now that's what I'm trying to say about the human psychology, which is that the joy of the pain of losing 10% is more than the joy of getting 90%. यहाँ पे 50 rupees is just 10% of the 5 rupees that you just saw on the road right now. लेकिन आपको उसको खोना नहीं है because वो आपका 50 रुपया है. तो आपको पेन होगा अगर वो 0 हो जाएगा, इसलिए आप खर्च कर रहे हो। एट द सेम टाइम आपको 500 रुपए मिले, विच इज, तो 90% is not actually, it is much more than that, it is 10 times, but वो 90-10 का रेशियो आप समझ रहे हो, 50 and 500, why I use that example, पर वो 500 रुपए आपको ज्वाइन नहीं हो रहा है बिकॉज वो आपका नहीं है, so you're happy to give it to somebody. The same psychology happens in business. Now if somebody has paid you 10% advance, they would not pay the remaining 90% because उनके लिए वो 10% खोने का दर ज्यादा है, इसके लिए 90% और भर देंगे लेकिन वो 10% वेस्ट नहीं करेंगे. So you know that you've locked your sales and hence your chances of success increase by 90 to 95% because आपने किसी से 10% advance ले लिया है. So वो आपसे remaining 90% पक्का भरेगा. So that is point number 1. Point number 2 is, a lot of people tell you that the product is good, we will take it when you come in the market, and when you go to them, they would not take it. And they will say, हम कुछ पैसे नहीं है, हमको भी product नहीं चाहिए, or whatever. Now, by taking a 10% advance, all these things will not happen. And the third point, a very important one, is that a lot of people, what they do is they actually just say good things to you because they don't want to spend time with you. Because if they give you a negative feedback, you'll ask them more questions. Then they have to spend more time. Then they have to tell you why it is not good. And they don't want to spend that much of time. They just want to say it's a good product so that you just go away. And when you come to them, they say, we're not interested. But if they have to pay you the 10%, which means they're genuinely interested, or they will give you feedback, which you can work on a product so that you know that what went wrong and why they did not purchase it from you. So taking the 10% gives you a sure shot feedback, a sure shot customer. And another very important thing that comes in is, as an entrepreneur, there are two things that need to possess as a startup founder, which is you have to be very strong on your integrity and you should be a very good salesperson. An entrepreneur should be able to sell ice to an Eskimo or a comb to a bald person. That's what you've done here. You've sold a product before it's even launched in the market. It's going to come after 1 month. You're going to deliver that service to your customers after a month, but you've taken 10% advance. That shows how good are you in sales, and that's an ability to possess as an entrepreneur. So this is the way you figure out how you validate the idea, how you figure out when you're walking the right path, and then you work towards it. See, at the face of it, Pratik, your idea sounds very good, very interesting. But why still you need to do this step is because ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि after 6 months you realize कि अगर मैं ये पहले कर लेता हूँ, रहता time और energy बच जाता. So initially putting that 1 or 2 months of effort is worth it because eventually you're going to save enough time, energy, and money to ensure that you roll out the product in the right direction in the right manner. Hope that gives some clarity to all of you guys.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Any question you all have? Okay, Asiya, thanks, Neil. Any questions that you guys have before we move to the next point? Any questions anyone has? Okay, great. So we talked about how do we know that are we fit to be an entrepreneur or why should we start our entrepreneurship journey? We figured out how do we validate our idea. Now the next step is how do we implement this, right? How do we take this to the next level? So the next thing that you would want to do is maybe build your business plan or a pitch deck. Now that's a very detailed exercise. So we will keep this for another day. That is something that you need to put down in terms of what's going to be a revenue model, what's going to be a marketing strategy, whom are you going to have in your team, why are you going to do that, what solution are you solving, what's your unfair advantage. So unfair advantage is basically something that gives you an edge over your competition and money just can't buy it easily. So this can either be your IPR, or it can be a loyalty, or it can be a network, or it can be a technology, any of these things. So your next step is to build your business plan, your pitch deck. What you also need to do here is to figure out how to get the right team for yourself. So getting the right team is very, very important because there are two aspects to this. One is if you go out to raise money from investors, the 70% focus that the investors is going to have on your execution team who is going to execute it and how you're going to execute it. If they're confident about the execution capability of the entrepreneurs and the team, they're going to bet the money. So usually investors put money on the horse, on the jockey, and not on the horse. So here you are the jockey and your business is the horse. That's number one. Number two is, even when you are working, you need to have a very, very strong team with you who's able to execute that. Because you might have the best of the best idea, but if you can't pull that off, it doesn't make sense. So today, if I ask everyone who's present here to think of a billion-dollar idea that you think can change the world, I'm sure if I give you 1 hour, everyone can come with it. But how many of you guys can actually execute that? Maybe one or two. That's what the difference is. Execution is what matters. So how you build your team, you try to figure out people who have complementary skill sets and not supplementary. So just because ये मेरा best friend है, ये मेरा भाई है, ये मेरी बहन है, मैं उसको अपने team में ले लेता हूँ. That's not how you run business. For you to figure out the right team, you need to have people with complementary skill sets. For example, you're good in marketing. You get somebody good with technology. You get somebody good with operations. So you get somebody who has a complementary skill set so that 1+1 is not 2, but 1+1 is 11. So that's what you need to do. Build a very strong team. How do you convince people to join you? A, if you are loaded with money, give them good money. If you don't have money, give them your vision, why they should join you, and give them a part of your business. Give them some equity. Let them believe in your business. And that initial equity that they get and the drive that they will have will be much more that money can buy. So if you see, when Sachin and Binny Bansal started Flipkart, at that point of time they were 100% owners of Flipkart, right? And both were fully passionate. But eventually, when they grew the company, so it's not about how much equity you hold, but what's the value of that equity you hold. So they were holding 100% equity of a company which was worth, say, 50 lakh rupees. Today, when the last round happened, when Walmart took over Flipkart, at that point of time, the cumulative equity that Binny and Sachin had together was only 6%. So, what is better, having 100% or 6%? What is better is having value of what you hold. So they held 100% of 50 lakhs, which is nothing. Today they held 6% of $1 billion valuation, which meant that each of them, the stake that they hold, the value of the stake that they hold of that 6% was worth 6,000 crore each. So they both had 12,000 crore in that 6% for them. So that's the kind of value they held in with them. So don't feel shy to give equity away, as long as that equity, when you're parting, is going to add value to your business and to your growth. So it's nice to hold equity to your chest, but not when you're able to give it for a good value in the company. So that's what matters at the end of the day. So that's how you build your team and you figure out the right set of people and how do you work with them. Any questions before I move on? How do investors evaluate startups and what do they look at? And maybe I can share a couple of my investments that I have done in a few startups and how they have fared out. So that also gives you an idea about what all entrepreneurship goes through. So one part that we're missing out today on entrepreneurship development is the pitch deck and the business plan, because that's 1 hour kind of a discussion, and we don't have that much of time. We have, say, around another 20 odd minutes to half an hour maximum. So, any questions that you all have before I jump to the investors point? Happy to answer so that.
I have a question. So you about the last point you said about
Mhm.
equity and money related thing, like equity doesn't matter, don't be shy, give it away. But sir, does holding an equity means holding your vision and you're just giving away your whole equity
Mhm.
just for the money?
Mhm.
So
Right. So, Sahib, so that's what I'm trying to say here. Don't give your equity freely, but don't shy away to give when there's somebody worthy it. So, let me give you an example here. Sorry. Let me take a case study here and tell you how it worked. Just having water, just give me a second. So, Sakib, now there was this portfolio company of mine. These guys Googled me. So, So they typed Devesh Chawla on Google and they saw a lot of things about me, and they were pretty impressed, and they reached out to my team to say that we want to have a meeting with Devesh. So they said that he's busy, he can't meet you and all. So they said, okay, whenever he can, let's meet up. So after 45 days, I gave them a time. So after 1.5 months, we spoke on a call, and they discussed their idea with me. This is what we wish to do. So I said, okay, this idea is similar to what Haptic is doing any which ways currently. So there is nothing that you're bringing as a differentiator. So you need to think of a differentiating factor. So they said, can we have a meeting with you in person? We need to discuss a few things. So I said, fair. So after 2 weeks or something, I gave them a time, and then they came to my office. So when they came down to discuss, they said, this is what you're wishing to build. So the founder used to use a Virtue Mobile. The Virtue Mobile is basically, it's a very high-end phone. I think the cost of that phone is close to 8 lakh rupees. Now, that phone has a concierge built in. So, for example, if you want to have dinner with the queen, you'll never get no for an answer, but there's a price that you have to pay for it. If you're willing to pay the price, you'll get it. Once they went to a restaurant which was fully packed and they wanted a table next to the window. The concierge ensured that they get their table near the window, but they had to pay a bomb for it. So basically, it was an assistant that does anything that you ask for it, but at a price. So that assistant comes along as a service over a phone call if you buy that mobile phone. So these guys said, we want to build something like this, and we want to make it fully automated with a lot of AI into it. So, and Haptic was trying to do that, but Haptic was a lot with human intervention and not very fully automated. Sorry. So I said, fair enough. I'm like, you can build this. So they said, we want you to support us. So I said, I can support you, but let me assure you the chances of a product like this succeeding is just 2%. So they said, we are happy to work with 2% as long as you are with us on board, because we want you as our mentor on our board. So I said, fair enough, I'll come on board, but I need you guys to leave everything and focus on this business and just follow blindly what I say. And if you can do that, if you can have that much of faith in me, only then we should sign up. It doesn't make sense. So they said, no, we are willing to do that. So I said, okay. We discussed on our engagement terms, and I said that I'm going to take a 5% equity in your company for doing something, for helping you to do this, because a lot of my time gets invested into this company. If you guys make it big, my 5% has a value. If you guys don't make it big, my 5% is a piece of paper which has no value. So they said, it's an honor for us that you come on our board, and we're happy to give you the 5% in the company. So I said, fair enough. We started off with them, Sakib. We started this in, I think, 2016 or 17. Uh, Within a span of 12 months, they had a team of 40 people. They had two offices, one in Mumbai, one in Indore. We got them launched at Tech Disrupt, which is one of the largest tech events in the world, happens in USA, in the Silicon Valley. We got them an acquisition offer from Google Home to acquire their company, and they rejected that because they said, we have a larger vision. We got them funded at, I think, $2 million funding. We got them, and today they are working with some of the big corporates of India and overseas. Now, when they started off, they were holding 100% of the company and would be valued something. Today, they hold 95% of the company because I hold the 5%. Sorry. And the value of that company is much, much, much larger. So sometimes, if you have the right investor or the mentor joining your board, in that case, giving away equity makes sense. But just if somebody comes you with a check and says, take the money and give me equity, no, you shouldn't do that. You need to see what is that person bringing to table along with money. Is he getting some strategic value as well? If yes, then you do that. So that's what it happened. So another example where I did not, so this was sweat equity. Another company where I did not take a sweat equity and I just invested money, sorry, was Hubilo. So Hubilo is an event tech platform. I had invested in that company again, I think in 2016, and in 2020 they gave an exit. So my investment became 8 times. They raised a round, and they raised a round of $4.5 million. So whatever I had invested became 8 times. I took my exit. After that, I helped them as an investor, not as a mentor, as an investor. I had invested money into them to raise the next round, which happened in 2021 March, which was a $23.5 billion. And 3 months ago, they raised the next round, which was $100 million. So sometimes you need to figure out the right investor and mentor. So in the first case, I was a mentor to them, where they gave me sweat equity. In the second case, I was an investor in the company, where I got equity against the money I invested. So you have to figure out the right investor and mentor who invest in your company, and then you give the equity, and then it has a value. Hope that answers the question, Sakib, and gives some clarity.
Yes, sir. But sir, you shouldn't give the company ka equity that much that you lose power of the company now.
Yeah, initially in the angel round, you should not dilute more than 10 to 15% of your equity amongst all investors. So when Hubilo's first round happened, all of us who had invested in Hubilo, the cumulative equity of all of us put together was not beyond, say, 10%. So that is what Hubilo did good. Because the subsequent rounds that happened right now, 4.5 million, 23.5 million, 100 million, he could give away more equity. So now Hubilo holds, say, around 46% equity in the company, which is still a sizable amount. But initially, you should not give the majority. You should just give 10% maximum in your company.
Understood.
Yeah. So now let me tell you what are how do you raise funds? Okay. Now, first of all, you should know when to raise funds. You should not raise funds for survival. You should raise funds for scaling up. Now, a lot of startups just start their startup only because they want to raise money from investors. In fact, last evening I got a call from somebody who was saying that he has started a business where he is burning every month close to, say, 25 odd lakh rupees with a revenue of 3 to 4 lakh rupees, and he just has a runway of, say, 6 months. Now, he started the business because he saw everyone is in the similar business and is making money, and in the hope that an investor would invest into him. But that's not how you do business. You never start a business to get funding. You start a business so that it is self funded, it can work on its own, and eventually, when you want to scale the business, you raise money from investors. So, the idea should not be to start a startup because you want to get funded. The idea should be you want to solve a problem. The problem can give you money. The problem can give you a solution which helps people, and they're happy to pay a price for it, which gives you profit in the company. Sorry. So once you can do that, you're sure that you are traversing the right path. Now, once you have proved yourself with the concept that, okay, you're walking the right path, then you reach out to investors to raise your next round of funding. And that's where you need money to scale up your business. You never take money for survival, you take money for scaling up. To draw an analogy, is like if you take money for survival, it's like you're on a ventilator. As long as the oxygen is there, you're surviving. The moment it's pulled off, you're dead. But when you're taking money for scaling up, it's like a catalyst. You take it as a protein shake or as a supplement to ensure that your health is improving day by day and you're surviving pretty well. If that supplement is off your way, your health won't deteriorate, but it won't appreciate the way it was earlier. So let's investor money be for scaling up and not for survival. Very, very important point that you should keep in mind if you have your startup. So don't start a startup just for raising funds. Now, what are the stages of funding? The first stage is you bootstrap it. You use your own money to start your business. The second step is you take money from friends and family. It's called the FNF round. So friends and family help you, they give you money and they invest in your business. They take a certain stake maybe and they help you grow. The third step is the angel round or the seed round. The name angel round is because the person who invests into your company is like an angel in your life because you don't know him. He's a stranger. He likes your business. He likes you, and he wants to invest into your vision. It's called a seed round because that's the seed of your business. It's at this level that you are just trying to scale up your business, and this acts as a seed to the tree that you're growing in the form of your business. So the next round is seed round or an angel round, which is usually as low as say it can be cumulative round with multiple investors coming in, but the angel round should be anywhere between say 50 lakh to as big as 10 crores. So which is close to $1.5 million. So that's your angel round. Once you have done that, you have institutions who start coming in and investing. So institutions are bigger companies who want to invest apart from the individuals. Then your Series A comes. So Series A is basically any round which is more than say 2 million and goes up to $10 million. So that is how your Series A happens. Then a Series C, which is anywhere between say 10 million to 50 odd million. Then a Series C happens, which is anywhere from 50 million to 200 million, and so on and so forth. These are the various stages of rounds that you need to go through in your investment journey. There is something called as private equity, where these players come in at a very, very mature stage. So private equity will invest into a PVR cinema, which is an established brand. They wouldn't invest into very small startups. They will invest into a Thyrocare, which is again an established brand. So private equity comes at a stage where you have reached a certain level in your business, and then they want to come. For startups, you have bootstrapping, friends and family, angel round, Series A to Series B, C, D. It keeps going and increasing. That's how investments happen. How do you reach out to investors? Simple. You either figure them out on LinkedIn, you be a part of multiple events, you figure out angel platforms, and you get investors access. You reach out to them, pitch your idea, see if you get funded. That's how investment happens in startups. I think we have covered more or less everything. We have another 5-10 minutes left. I'm going to leave this now only for questions. Won't speak much in terms of from my side because I've tried covering most of these things because 1 hour won't do justice to all the development phases of entrepreneurship, but try to accommodate as much as I could. But now I'm going to leave the last 5-10 minutes only to questions. So any questions that you all have on your mind, please feel free to ask so that uh, your questions get answered. Over to you all.
Sir, Pratik this side.
Yeah, Pratik.
Sir, I want to ask that at what stage of the startup we have to approach for a mentor?
Hmm. So I think Pratik, you should approach the mentor once you're finalized on your business plan. Once you're clear what path you want to traverse, maybe once you've done your marketing survey as well. The empathy study I talked about initially, about how you reach out to those 100 institutes and all of those things. So when you have
Mhm.
that data with you and you're sure on how you want to proceed, that's the right time to get a mentor. Because a mentor should not be only used in your times of darkness, but he should also be used as a sounding board so that you are always reaffirming what you're doing because your conviction increases that you're traversing the right path. So your mentor should come very early into your business, but not as early that you both are thinking only on the idea. So you should have thought through the idea, you should have done your basic market study, and then you should have a mentor in your venture.
Okay, sir. And sir, how to select a right mentor for my start?
Okay, do you have a girlfriend, Pratik?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So how did you select your girlfriend? Same way. So first you meet a mentor. You figure
Mhm.
out first who's the right mentor for you. Okay. So you go on LinkedIn. You say you want a mentor who is good in, say, marketing or somebody who is good in technology. You need to understand what kind of mentor you want. So first you figure that out. You reach out to that mentor through LinkedIn. Once you reach out to that mentor, uh, pitch your idea. If he or she likes your idea, you'll meet for a coffee. You'll have at least 4 to 5 meetings unless you both are sure that he is the right mentor and he is the right mentee. So you both are convinced with each other. Once that's there, you take it ahead. Because getting a mentor cannot be a quantitative method, it has to be qualitative method. It's exactly how you got your girlfriend. You all would have met each other, became friends, you all would have started liking each other, and then you would propose each other, and now you're in a relationship, right? Likewise, it happens with the mentor. You meet with the mentor, you all both have to click with each other, and once you both are sure, you all take it ahead. Having said that, you need to do a little bit of background check on the mentor to figure out how many startups he has helped, how many startups he has succeeded, how many he has failed. Has he seen failure or not? If a mentor has seen a failure, please take that mentor on board because he knows what not to do to not fail in life. And of course, he has to see success also because then he should know how should be successful as well. So you need a good, rough mentor who has seen success and failure both so that they can guide you in the right path. एंड जैसे आपने अपनी गर्लफ्रेंड ढूंढी वैसे मेंटर को ढूंढिए दोनों क्लिक हो जाएंगे दैट्स हाउ इट हैपेंस
Thank you, sir.
you're welcome now Kedar so is it always necessary to spend money while setting up or running a startup or take it to a self-sustaining stage so you need to spend some money Kedar because free में तो कुछ होगा नहीं that money may be either say 100 rupees or 1 lakh rupees it depends on the nature of your business but initially you have to spend some money to set up your startup before it enters into a self-sustaining stage. Hope that answers your question, Kedar. Sanat, can we start a zero investment startup? There is nothing zero investment. There can be minimal investment, but yeah, there are multiple startups you can do. So, for example, if you want to start something which is completely online, which is completely through your word of mouth, through your reference, but still your time gets involved, right? So if you're assuming your time value is zero, that you because it's an opportunity loss. If you're assuming that, then yeah, you can start it off. So you can start with very minimal capital. But हर चीज़ का खर्चा कुछ तो होगा सनत. You will be spending on electricity, on your internet, on some resources, on spending a time which has value attached to it. So I wouldn't say it's completely free, but yeah, it can be highly minimal to start a startup. So yes, there is a way you can do that as well. Hope that answers. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions anyone has?
So could you tell us more about your journey? No one's asking any question.
Okay. So Sakib, how I started my journey was I was fresh out of my MBA in 2009 and I wanted to start something in the cab space, which was very similar to what Ola Cabs had been doing. So at that point of time, there was no ecosystem for startups. So I didn't know what to do. So I reached out to a friend and I said, this is what I'm thinking. He said, good idea. So I said, let's meet someone who can guide us. He said, I know a guy who runs a tours and travels business and he has around 450 fleet of cars under him. Let's reach out to him and understand about your idea. So I went to that person, I told him my idea, I showed him. It was not same as Ola, but very similar to that concept. So I showed him the idea. I showed him that within 9 months I become profitable, and after that the growth is 100% year on year, and that was a very conservative model. And he was super impressed. So he said the model is great, it is executable as well, but you shouldn't do this. So I asked him why. He said because currently the way things are happening this industry is highly politicized. And if you see, there is a lot of a nexus between the mafia and the politicians in running the cab business. There are cartels here, which the normal person does not know of. He's like, the moment you start this business, there will be cartels who will be aware of you doing this. They'll be vandalizing your cars, breaking your driver's legs, and all. And he said, I don't think you are up for anything like this. So I think you should not get into it. So, I thought this guy does not want me to do it. So I thought he's talking crap. And I said, okay, fine. And then I told my friend, let's talk to some other people as well, because I don't think he likes my idea. And I was too young that time. So I told him, I think he's jealous of my idea. He want to steal my idea. Let's reach out to somebody else. So, what's this on the YouTube, Pratik, that you've sent? Acha, my journey. Okay, great, thanks.
Your TEDx, sir.
Acha, my TEDx. Okay, thanks. So then after that, I reached out to. He helped me reaching out to somebody else. Now that guy was again a similar business. He had a fleet of 250 cars, and apparently that day his office cabin was broken. So I told him, he loved my idea too, and he said, you know what, are you seeing my cabin broken today? I said yes. So he said, "You know, last evening one of my drivers had a spat with a local political party, and because of that, those guys got angry. They broke my office." But he's like, this is very normal in our business. This happens day in and day out. I'll get my office up and running in the next 3 days. And within 2 weeks, I might also go and break their office. And we can do that. Because we have the muscle power to do all of these things. It's a normal business for us because this is how this industry functions. He's like, you won't understand and you shouldn't do. You seem to come from a nice family. So, you stay out of this. So I got a little discouraged. I'm like, two big people said a no to me. What should I do? So I reached out to another three, four people, and everyone said, this is not the kind of business you should do. You should pick up a nice, cushy job and get into a job because it's not as clean as it looks from outside. So I said, fine. And I picked up a nice, cushy job. I was into wealth management, one of the youngest private bankers in the country. I was managing ultra HNI clients, managing their money, investing for them across asset classes in India and overseas. Very happy, drawing a handsome salary. Life couldn't get better than this. I was so happy that I didn't pick up entrepreneurship because this is going so well. Then came the year 2013-14, where I read an article where Bhavesh Agarwal, who was the founder of Ola Cabs, he entered the 1000 crore club. And that shook me out. I am like, he's of similar age, a similar idea, similar experience, and he could pull this off and make 1,000 crore business. And I am still stuck up into a job. Though I'm very happy in this job, drawing a good salary, everything, but this is not what I signed up for. I could have been in Bhavish's place. So what went wrong? And I saw what Bhavish did there, which none of the guys advised me, was Bhavish did not advertise Ola on his cabs anywhere. So a lot of people didn't know it is Ola cabs. He just had given the drivers, what do you say, a mobile phone, which with the location. Plus, he said the drivers that only in a free time you're supposed to do this. Otherwise, you can do your normal business that you're doing. So he's not eating into anyone's business also. So these were some growth hacks and strategies which his mentors would have guided him, and or investors would have guided him, due to which he could make this 1,000 crore company in a span of say 5 years. Now, at that point of time, I was like, if I was given the right kind of guidance, maybe I would have uh, been over here. So then I reached out to my cousin who was at that point of time at D Labs. D Labs is the incubator of ISB Hyderabad. So ISB Hyderabad is one of the most premium MBA institutes, not in India, but overseas, overall globally as well. And they have an incubation center where he used to head that. He was a CEO there. So I told him, I have an idea of creating a platform where I can get entrepreneurs, mentors, and investors together. How do you feel about it? So he said, a lot of people are doing this in bits and pieces, but what you're thinking is pretty holistic. Let's go ahead with it. So for me, that moral support was more than enough. It was like once bitten, twice shy. I started working on it while I was at my job. I spent close to 2 years in my evenings working with entrepreneurs, startups, helping them getting connected to mentors, helping them getting connected to investors, seeing they're happy, doing well for themselves, and decided to put down my papers and start Chatur Ideas. So, of course, while putting down also, it was a huge challenge because my boss didn't want me to leave. He offered me double the salary. I said no. He offered me 98% hike on the salary, to which I said a no after 2 days, of course, because initially I was really excited. I was like, double salary, holy chodo entrepreneurship. But then I thought it's worth taking the risk. I was young, not married that time. So I'm like, everything works in my favor. So why not just start entrepreneurship? Uh, इतनी responsibilities भी सर पे नहीं है. And that time then I started it off, and then he वो उसने वो एक कैरेट दिया था सैलरी का, फिर उसने स्टिक दिया, बोला कि देवेश यू आर प्रीटी यंग टू स्टार्ट दिस, यूजुअली पीपल हु आर इन देयर अर्ली 50s are the ones who do this, and you are just in your early 30s. He's like or late 20s or early 30s. I think I was around 30 at that time, I'm not sure. So 29 or 30. So he said that, I don't think anyone will take you seriously. And at that point of time, a quote came to my mind. It was like, when he gave me a salary hike of 95%, 98%, it was like his support. So, his support was pushing me hard to say that, yes, I should become an entrepreneur because somebody is happy to pay me this kind of a salary means I have that much of value in me and I should do it. And when he said that, you cannot do this because it is not the right thing, then I was like, your hatred is making me unstoppable. And I said, I should go ahead with something like this. And I decided to start my journey. Of course, the first 9, 12 months were pretty difficult, and eventually we paved a path. So from starting from zero today, it's been 7 years. We have worked with more than 1,100 startups. We have worked with 1,500 investors from India and US. We are among the top 5 startup enabling platforms in the country. We have bagged multiple awards in India and globally as well. So, been a tough journey, but an interesting one. So, that's how the journey has been. So, it was now, if you also see, it also goes back to the first one I discussed. I was passionate about this problem because I had faced rejection in my life of not starting the cab company. So, hence, I built this platform. Number one. Number two, I saw a problem point. A lot of entrepreneurs are facing this, and I saw a solution which can help everyone. So, that's how you work on it. You have to be passionate to see a problem and work for the solution towards it. Hope that answers, Sakib, and gives you clarity about the journey and the learnings that I got. I could have gone in detail, but because of the paucity of time, try to make it a little short.
Yes, very nice.
Perfect. Thanks. So great, guys. It was nice interacting with all of you all. Lovely audience. Signing off. Asya, if you wish to say something before we sign off.
Yes, sir. Sanat, can you please conclude the session?
Yeah, thank you. We are extremely grateful for your session today. We have taken a lot of things from this session. Thank you for sharing your valuable inputs and clearing all of our doubts of the current batch. It's certainly made the journey a bit less turbulent and scary at this challenging time. We are looking forward to it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, everyone. Nice audience. Nice interacting with you all. Take care. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.